What is up, FEG fam? Welcome back to the channel. So ever since we found out that Yae Miko was going to be a playable character in the game of Genshin Impact, one of my main goals was to pair her with the Raiden Shogun and Kujo Sara to see how well they work together. And lo and behold, they are phenomenal. I love their synergy, I love the damage output, and I love how fun they are used in conjunction with each other. So I thought I'd go ahead and showcase that in today's video, as well as give you a bit of a first impressions, my brutal honest thoughts of Yae Miko, and be as unbiased as possible. So if all of that sounds good to you, go ahead and drop a like. It helps out way more than you even know. And if you're new to the channel and you like the content, go ahead and consider subscribing. Join the FBG family. We would love to have you stick around as we're on our way to 35K. So thank you guys so much for the support. Now, before we really jump into it, I thought it would be important to show you what I have on my Yae Miko at this point right now, so you know what we're working with, as well as also show you what I have on my Raiden Shogun and Kujo Sara. Not only that, but give you a little tidbits on my specific builds, because they may differ and vary from your own. So with that being the case, let's go ahead and take a look at what I have on my Yae Miko at this point right now. So here's my Yae Miko, and I do have to say she is pretty standard and very realistic for, I would say, just about any player in the game of Genshin Impact because of the type of build I have on her. So right now I do have her at level 90. Here are my stats, which could be better. Now, I have been messing around with my stats as of late, so if you've been to the streams, this may look different to you. But right now I have, you can round up 65% crit rate, 194% crit damage. I do have the Lost Prayers of Sacred Winds on her, so that's why you'll see the other damage bonuses for the other elements. But then you can see I have 95% electro damage bonus. Like I mentioned, the Lost Prayers of the Sacred Winds, and keep in mind I do have it at R3. That's something to note. Now, for the majority of the time that I've been using Yae Miko, I have been trying out the 2-piece Thundering Fury and 2-piece Shimenawa set, but I have recently switched over to the 4-piece of Emblem of Severed Fate to give this one a try, and I do have to say, just based off of the stat ratios that I was able to obtain and pairing her with the Raiden Shogun, I do like the Emblem of Severed Fate just a little bit better. Not only that, I have been more elemental burst focused with Yae Miko, and you'll see that within the talents. So this set actually works out a little bit better for me, and the energy recharge is really nice because I noticed when I was running the 2-piece Thundering Fury, 2-piece Shimenawa, I was running into some energy problems, nothing too detrimental, but some energy recharge problems, even with the Shogun and Kujo Sara, which we'll do in just a second. Now, I do have her at C0, and she will stay C0. I don't plan on getting any cons for Yae Miko. And here are my talents, 2, 6, and 8. Like I mentioned, I have been more elemental burst focused than anything, but I do like the elemental skill, and I'll talk about that more here in just a second. Now, moving over to my Raiden Shogun, I do want to note that I do have the Raiden Shogun level 90, the Engulfing Lightning R1. I do have 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate. I do have her C6. Now, this is important not only because of the damage output that you'll be able to see with the Raiden Shogun, but the C4 is of note. And the reason being is because once the Elemental Burst expires when I'm using the Raiden Shogun, all nearby party members, excluding the Shogun, gain a 30% bonus attack for 10 seconds. So you have to take that into consideration. I know a lot of people don't have the Raiden Shogun at C4, so that's just something to note and keep in mind when you're looking at some of the damage numbers possibly. Now, you'll also notice in the gameplay that I don't utilize this that often, but it does happen from time to time. I also have my Raiden Shogun at 10, 13, and 13, so she is triple crowned. Now, moving over to Kujo Sara, I have Kujo Sara 9, 9, and 3. She is level 80, so I don't have a level 90. I have the Stringless on her as of right now, R5. 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate, as you can see. And I do have Kujo Sara C6. So that is significant because the C6 right here allows for the crit damage to be increased by 60%. This is significant, and it is incredible. That's why I love running this team together, because the synergy and the damage output is there. Even though my Yae Miko is very, I would consider mid, this makes her not as mid and makes her a really decent damage dealer. So that is nice right there. So one other thing I did note really quickly is that this team doesn't really run into the energy issues because of not only the Raiden Shogun being a great battery, but Kujo Sara has the ability to provide some energy back as well. So with this talent, or passive I should say right here, Sara will restore 1.2 energy to all party members for every 100% energy recharge she has, and this effect can be triggered once every 3 seconds. So that's why I do run the Emblem of Sever Fate on her, because of that reason. And so this allows for the team as a whole to really have elemental bursts going pretty consistently and pretty constantly, and it really negates or minimizes the energy issues that could possibly be there for Yae Miko, because not only do we have the Raiden Shogun as a battery, Sara able to provide some energy back, but then of course we have the Electro Resonance that is providing energy back as well. So when you're running this team and you have them all together and they're working in tandem, energy is not much of an issue, which is fantastic, right? It's really good. Now, I did want to go ahead and give my first impressions and my brutal honest opinion of Yae Miko. And I do have to say, I'll be transparent with you, it has been a bit of a roller coaster when it comes to this character. Of course, before she released, I was extremely excited for this character to drop. I was anticipating Yae Miko to come out, and I couldn't wait for her to be in game so that way I can try her out and see what she's capable of. I finally got my hands on Yae Miko, and when I was using her, I have to be honest, I wasn't too thrilled. And it wasn't because she wasn't able to do damage, that wasn't the case. She was able to do damage even with a subpar build that I had for her at the time, and talent's only at like level 6. She was still outputting some pretty decent damage, and it was nice to see, but that wasn't the issue. For me, it was more from a gameplay standpoint. There's just some characters in the game of Genshin Impact that you click with from a gameplay standpoint more than others. For example, when it comes to like the Raiden Shogun, Zhongli, Kazuha, Eula, those characters, I click with their gameplay and I really enjoy using them. That's why you see me use them all the time, right? But there are some other really good characters that I just don't really enjoy their gameplay style. One of the main ones being Zhao. He's a fantastic character and he's really strong, but I just don't really vibe with his gameplay style. It doesn't fit my own style, so I don't use him that often at all, right? Now, when I was using Yae Miko, I was kind of getting the same vibes because she felt a bit clunky and she felt a bit wonky. I wasn't vibing with her normal or charge attacks, which I still don't to a degree. I will say the charge attacks I'm loving a little bit more because I'm getting the nuance of it and I'm able to really utilize them properly, and I think the way they should be. But I have to say the normal attacks are just not for me. I'm not a huge fan, and I probably won't level up the normal attack talent too much. And if I do, it's only for the charge attacks because I do see some usefulness there. Now, the elemental skill and the elemental burst, those were the highlights for me personally. And what was happening is that I was using the elemental skill, but it felt a little bit off because there was a slight delay or a pause when you put down one of the totems and you're trying to go into another totem. There was just a slight delay, slight pause, and it was kind of throwing me off, and I wasn't having a really good time, or it didn't feel good to seamlessly go through the totems. I felt as if when I was going to get my hands on her, I was going to be able to just drop down totems instantly and be able to flow fluidly and not have any type of delay, but that's not really the case. Now, of course, the more I've used Yae Miko, the more I've gotten used to that bit of a delay, and I don't really have that issue anymore. And that's the thing, I've been using her more often, and I've been really enjoying her more and more, and I actually really like her now. The elemental bursts I was having so many issues with because there seemed to have been some targeting issues, or I might have just been really bad at targeting, because I do tend to miss my elemental burst a lot, but it seemed like I was missing it even more with Yae Miko, and that's because when you do the totems, you can sometimes be facing the wrong direction, so if you try and drop down the elemental burst really quickly, you could be facing in a different direction and actually not hit, totally miss the elemental burst, and that was happening to me a lot. Now, what I had to realize is that it takes some time to get used to a character, it takes some time to get used to what they do and how they play. And that's all it was for me. I had to realize that there's a certain way you need to play Yae Miko, there's a certain way you need to do things, and that was the case with the elemental skill and the elemental burst. Once I put a couple of more hours into this character, I realized how to use things properly. I realized when to use the charge attacks, how to do the totems properly, and how to accurately hit your elemental burst the way you're supposed to. And now I'm having no issues. I fixed the artifacts to where I have a pretty decent ratio now, and I'm really enjoying using Sara alongside her with the Raiden Shogun. And I've just been having a blast with this character. I've been having an absolutely good time. So my first impressions and my brutally honest opinion is I think Yae Miko is a fantastic character. I think she has the potential to output some tremendous damage if built the right way and put on the correct team comps, and you use rotations properly and you get used to how she plays, right? But would I recommend her to a player, free-to-play player, new player to the game, especially in the current climate that we're in with the characters that are going to be coming down the road? Raiden Shogun, Kokomi, Ayato, and others, Kazuha. I can't in good conscience recommend this character, and it's not because she's bad. On the contrary, I think she's really good. I just think that characters like the Raiden Shogun, Kokomi, Kazuha, and maybe even to a certain degree Ayato, depending on how he is, may just offer a little bit more. In my opinion, Yae Miko is fantastic. She does tremendous damage. She applies the electro consistently on a constant basis. What I love the most is that there's always damage going on with this character in whatever team comp you put. Always damage happening, and I like that. I like that a lot. But I just think that if you're deciding between Yae Miko and the Raiden Shogun, I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's obvious you have to go with the Raiden Shogun because the utility, versatility, the well-roundedness of the Raiden Shogun is just too great. And I think it's just a better investment overall, right? But once again, that doesn't mean that Yae Miko is bad by any means. She's fantastic. But I just see her as a really good damage dealer, a great off-the-field DPS that can always have damage proccing at any point in time, right? But for a free-to-play player, new player of the game, who are trying to decide who to pull for, are on the fence with Yae Miko. The thing is if you're on the fence with Yae Miko, I don't think you should pull for her. If you're unsure if you should get her or not, I don't think you should get her. I think the only people that should get Yae Miko are either whales that can afford to, or individuals that are for certain that's the character for them. That's their most favorite character, and they have to have her on the account. If you don't have to have her, she's not needed by any means, in my opinion. I don't think she's necessarily quote-unquote meta-defining, but I think she's good. I think she's great, and I have a lot of fun with her. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, once again, drop a like. It helps out tremendously. We've been grinding here on the channel. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. Literally, I do mean it. Everything that you do. My name is Cody. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.